Thank you, Dr. Tunga, for this opportunity and everyone that's here. A little bit, I just want to talk on the message. Life and growth require pain and long suffering. Life and growth requires pain and long suffering. In order for there to be life, there's got to be a pain and there's got to be a suffering. In order for there to be life, you've got to meet those things, whether we like it or not. If there's no pain, there will never be life. If there's no suffering, there will never be life. But there's got to be. We have come to a point, or we have to make up our mind, because I discovered something. We live in a time and age where Christians want to grow, but they avoid pain. And it's highly impossible to grow if pain is not involved and pain is not attached. Amen. En Afrikaans sal sê, dis hoog onmoontlik om te groei sonder 'n pyn. Daar moet 'n pyn wees intussen. There must be a pain in between. I'll make examples and you'll understand. For example, I see some of you are pregnant, some of you just gave babies. Lalela, there is no woman who gave birth to a baby and say, you know what? When I was giving birth, I was smiling all the way. Everyone will tell you that there was crying, there was a pain, there was a suffering, there's something in between. Because why? There's a life just around the corner. But in order for the life to be there, the pain and the suffering is attached. Amen. Can we give the Lord a hand of praise? Are you with me? Now listen very carefully. That is why when God calls a man, there's a package of pain that goes along with that man. I'll make another example. There's a man by the name of Abraham. God said to Abraham, listen, there's a child that you'll get in the near future. And Sarah will have a child. And Sarah was barren. I mean, the age that she was. And they waited for 25 years. It was not a child's play, but they stick it not unto the promise of God. It was a pain for 25 years. You can't be patient for 25 days. You can't be patient for 25 minutes. You can't be patient for 25 hours. You can't even be patient for 5 seconds. But they had to endure. Amen. Amen. Let's take another example. I always speak about the seed. That when you take a seed and you put it into the soil, we know the seed must have an embryo. And the seed must die. The seed must decay. The seed must decompose. And after that, it does that and it bursts. And out of the embryo, after the seed getting the right soil, which is the fertile soil, and the right water, which is moisture, when the seeds start to grow out of the soil, what happens? Beneath the soil, there are challenges. Beneath the soil or inside the soil, there are rocks are there. So the seed, when it grows, it does not just grow. It has to fight against each and every rock that it finds on the way. The seed must make sure that if I want to conquer, I've got to conquer this rock. It goes through a pain. That is why when the tree it starts to grow from the soil, there are many rocks. There are so many rocks, but it will fight its way out. And inside the soil, it's so dark. Gumnyam imshabatini. Gokalembe witilalela. Nielangeni. There's a SUM. There's a sun that's calling. And the seed will fight and fight and fight and push the rock. Why? The life, the pain, and the long suffering. That is why we have so much struggle and pain and long suffering, because greatness comes from pain. Did you hear what I say? Yes. Greatness comes from pain. When you feel a pain, it doesn't mean that God has abandoned you. It doesn't mean that God has forsaken you. It doesn't mean that God has turned his back against you. But out of the pain, something greater is coming out of there, out of the pain. If this man can tell you his testimony, how did he grow in Zimbabwe? You'll cry tears. I was in his home twice. Today he's a doctor. He had to go through pain when there was no electricity, when there was at home at the village. The same doctor had to go through pain. There was a test, there was pain, long suffering, but he pushed on. Can we give the Lord a hand of praise? Amen. When we avoid the pain, doctor, we'll never be what we want to be in life. Our problem is when we face the pain, my pastor, we run away, we take shortcuts, we go to the Nyangas and the Sangomas to get where we want to get in the split of a second. That's what the doctor was saying. That's why when people, they face struggle, they take shortcuts. There's no shortcut with God. You've got to face the process of pain because life is on the way. Amen. Before I read here, there's a man, I love this statement. His name was Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is an inventor of the bulb. I think in the 20th century, I think it's the 20th century. Now what happened, let me tell you a secret here. I read a bit of the biography of Thomas Edison. What he did, they sent him to school. His mother sent him to school. When he was at school, remember, that's why teachers must be careful what they say to their children, whatever they speak. Because there are certain children today, they are not at school due to the teachers. You don't hear me? There are some of the teachers with negative energy that destroy the lives of the children at the bench of the school because of words that are negative that they speak to the child. Thomas Edison was told, they wrote the letter. When they wrote the letter, they gave Thomas Edison the letter. And they said, hier kyk jy vat hierdie koevert, gaan gee jou pa of gaan gee jou ma. En sê jou ma, sê jy moet die koevert lees. En sê die koevert gevat. En gesê, mama, my onderwyseres of my onderwysers, hulle het my die koevert gegee. And he took the envelope. He did not know what was in the envelope. When he came at home, he said, mommy, this was Thomas Edison. And he said, mama, my teacher gave me the envelope. He said, I must give you the envelope. And the mother wondered what's going on. And the mother took the envelope. And the mother opened up the envelope. When the mother opened up the envelope, you know what was written in the envelope? It was written, the letter was saying, dear Mrs. Edison, we regret and we are sorry to tell you the following, but we just want to tell you that your child is no longer allowed at the school premises because of his mentally retaliated, his mentally disturbed. There's something wrong upstairs. When the mother read the letter, the boy was standing next to the mother, and the mother was crying tears out of the socket of the eyes, and the mother wondered, and the child wondered, mommy, what's going on? What are you crying? Listen what the mother said. The mother did not say, they say you're stupid at school. The mother put a smile, and she said to the son, Thomas Edison, because you're so great, you're more intelligent than them. And Thomas jumped and said, yeah, I'm the best, I'm more intelligent than everyone. Meanwhile, he did not know it was written. He's disturbed. He's not allowed. Let me tell you, the mother passed on. Years passed. Thomas Edison went into the room and threw the drawer where the letter was. Now, Thomas Edison already, because of positive words, he already invented the bulb. He said, let me look at the letter, it was so good. When you open up the letter, the envelope in the letter, he realized what his mother said is not what I stated here. And Thomas said that mother was great. If the mother was negative, she could have destroyed Thomas Edison with negative words. That is why, you see, it was the teachers that said Thomas Edison is sick, while Thomas Edison was naturally gifted. And Thomas Edison made the golden rule and statement. He said a child that was considered mentally disturbed by teachers became the first one to invent a bulb in the 20th century. Amen. Are you with me? Okay, wait a minute, but let me read something here. I got it. This is not my original, my words. I got it somewhere and I said I will read it to you. Amen. Then after that, I'll sit down. If you don't want pain, you'll never be as great as you want to be. Did you hear what I say? Yes. If you don't want pain, you'll never be what you're destined to be. Your faith will fade away in front of your naked eyes. You'll miss what you want to be. That is why an Afrikaanse praat van papbroeke. Ek hou nie van papbroeke. I don't like a man who does not have a backbone. I love when a preacher preaches when he's got a backbone. He called black, black and white, white. Even a father at home, when he stands his ground, he must stand as a man. Because God called us men to stand as men and fight against every evil. You know why? Because God made us the head. That's why it breaks my heart when a minister or preacher or pastor or anything preaches or maybe who's occupying a church and you don't get that thing to stand and call black, black and white, white. God is looking for people that will stand in the gap. Come rain, come storm, come hail, that stand for the truth. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Are you with me? Amen. Listen, I'm going to read here. What you must understand that in the process of evolution and growth, it attends with pain. It attends with what? Pain. If you divorce pain, you'll never be what God destined you to be. Amen. Bafuna just glory. Hey, there's no glory without pain. Amen. Amen. Wherever there is pain, there is growth. And whenever there is growth, there is pain. Wherever there is pain, there is growth. And wherever there is growth, there is pain. You can't separate the two from one another. The other one says here, to extend your threshold of pain is the increase of your growth. All humans have aversion to pain. Nobody wants pain, that's the truth. We all run from pain, then we run from growth. If we run from pain, we run from growth. To become a doctor or a lawyer, you burn the midnight oil. It goes with pain. To study, when you study, you put on your time, your effort, sleepless night, it's a pain. But if you hold on, you will be what you desire to be. Unless I provided you do what? You embrace the pain. Amen. Amen. When you don't want pain, when you don't want pain and suffering, in order to grow, you don't want life. If you don't want pain and suffering, you don't want life. Because in order for there to be life, there must be pain and there must be what? Suffering. Now it says here again, you don't want life. That is the natural way of life. If you want to win in struggle, it won't come overnight. You have to learn to be patient and long-suffering. You have to learn to be patient. We want results overnight. That's why we don't want to work. We want to play lotto and win lotto and become millionaire over a scratch and a two-run overnight. Amen. We don't want to work and wake up when it's early in the morning and the frost is outside and the hail is outside and the rain is pouring. We throw the blanket. We say, I go to the doctor and I pay the doctor to write the prescription based on a lie. When I go to work and I say, doctor, I say, listen, manager or CEO, I was sick. Here is the handwriting. For 3 weeks, the doctor took me off while knowing you paid, you bribed the doctor to lie on your behalf. You are running away from pain. You'll never be great. Amen. If you want to win in struggle, it won't come overnight. You have to learn to be patient and long suffering. Be patient with the process. All of us have to go and travel the same road. The reason you don't become as great as you should be, it's because of you can't take the pain. You can't take what? In closing, allow me to say this. I can quote them step by step. I can mention something here. Step by step, I can. Let me make another one, a last one. Let me mention this president. There's a president, his name was Abraham Lincoln. Who knows Abraham Lincoln? Yes, he was the president of the United States of America. Let me tell you, Abraham Lincoln did not have a nice life. Abraham Lincoln, where he grew, it was tough. Abraham Lincoln was staying in a cabin. Do you know what is a cabin? Just C-A-B-I-N. Abraham Lincoln, it was tough. He was a bearded man. It was tough at home. He was staying in a cabin. That was Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln was good for nothing. They used to tease him and call him ugly. Hulle het gesê is lelik. Hulle het lelik van hom gepraat. Hulle het woorde gepraat wat lelik was. But Abraham Lincoln, let me tell you, he did his mathematics. You know where? He also did his mathematics on a shovel, a wooden shovel. He also did his mathematics on the ground. He walked miles and miles to get to school. That was Abraham Lincoln. But Abraham Lincoln, he went through the process of pain because he wanted to be something. By that time, slavery was high. There's a statement that Abraham Lincoln made. The statement says, God made man and man made slave. When the slave was auctioned and the slave was standing there and they would say 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 50,000, 50,000. One day Abraham Lincoln was walking with his father and he saw how the slaves, they were sold. And he asked Daddy, Papa, what's going on there? And he said, listen here, they are doing auction. And Abraham Lincoln said, one day I will hit that thing, meaning one day I will fight against the system. And he asked what he should do. They told him, you must be a lawyer. And he studied. What did he do? He studied hard. When Abraham Lincoln studied hard, he became a lawyer. And then he went in the process to be elected as a president. He won. When he won, the first thing he said, free the slaves. How did he become a lawyer? There was a pain in life. If you run away from pain, you'll never be great. If you run away from pain, instead of being great, you'll take a shortcut and you'll become a witch. You'll take a shortcut and become a wizard. Instead of being something, if you want to be a doctor and you don't want to take the pain, instead of being a doctor, you'll end up being a witch doctor instead of being a medical doctor. Why? When you take a shortcut, you run away from pain. Never trust somebody who does not embrace pain. Everyone that is great has gone through the process of pain. Let's take Nelson Mandela, Rolihlahla Mandela, 27 years behind bars. There was a pain, but he burned the midnight oil and he was a lawyer. He did not take shortcuts. He faced the pain. If you want to be the best, if you want to be the greatest, face the pain. Don't run from the pain. Tell yourself, I go through the pain. Our problem is we don't want to face the pain. That is our problem.
Yes, Lord.
We don't want to face the pain. And anyone that doesn't want to face the pain will never be as great. Let's close our eyes and bow our heads.